Hello again, this is the video number 2 for applying for your parents' tourist visa. In my previous video, I talked about the new online portal and how to create the account using the invitation code and how to add your parents into one group. So if you have not watched that video, please watch that first. In this video, I'm going to fill the application for my parents. So let's get started. Well, I created the profile to include two people in the same group, one for my father and another one is for my mother. And if you're planning to include more members in the same application, you can add them from this button. Since my wife applied for her parents' tourist visa and they received the passport request in just 2 weeks, so now I'm also planning to apply for my parents' tourist visa. But before that, I thought of helping others through this video. So if you know someone who wants to bring their parents to Canada on tourist visa, please share this video with them. So I will start with the first one and fill my father's details first. So I will just click on this continue button. And now you have some options. So the first one is I want to apply for a visitor visa or super visa. And once you click on this option, you will see several options that why do you need a visa. So in my case, I will select this option to visit my grandparent, grandchild, sibling, half sibling, step sibling or non-dependent child who is a Canadian citizen, person registered under Canada's Indian Act or a permanent resident of Canada. So in my case, they are coming to visit me and my wife and I am their non-dependent children who is also a permanent resident of Canada. So I will choose this option. But if you have any other reason to apply for the tourist visa, then just go through the various options and select the one which is more suitable in your case. Now the next question is, tell us more about what you will do in Canada. Include the dates. So now you have to write a few lines and talk about your plans in Canada, that what you will be doing in Canada. So if I have to write for my parents, I will write something like this. Our son and daughter-in-law are PR in Canada. We want to visit them and spend some quality time. So we are applying for a tourist visa to Canada. Our planned arrival in Canada is on June 1st, 2024. And we intend to stay at their residence in Toronto. During our visit, we plan to explore various nearby tourist attractions in Canada. Our return journey to India is scheduled for 30th September 2024. So this is a draft or sample version to help you guys. I can modify a few details here and there, but this is just to give you idea how you can fill this information. And now next two questions are very important, that when you will enter Canada and when you will leave Canada. So these are most important points. You should tell IRCC clearly that on which date you are coming to Canada and on which date you will be leaving from here. Throughout this form and in your all documents, just stick with the fixed date of travels. Don't mention like we are coming for 3 weeks or 6 months. Tell them the exact dates. So I will fill the dates here. So the year I will select 2024, June of 1st, and then when you will leave Canada, I'll say 2024, September, and the last day, 30. So these will be the planned travel dates for my parents. The next question is about the UCI number. So if you have any UCI number for your parents from their previous applications, you can fill that. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. Since my father or mother never applied for any Canadian visa before, so I will leave it blank and click on save and continue. Now on this page, you will see the documents you need to complete the application and what information you need to enter. So you need a valid passport or a travel document. You need a letter of invitation. I will talk about the letter of invitation in the next video along with the other documents and proofs, so don't worry about that. And then you need to give some of your information like your personal details, your travel documents, talk about your finance, your education history, criminality and security, medical background and family information. And you may need to provide some more information to IRCC depending on your application. So if you're clear, then just click on continue. Now the next point is about the representative. So here they are asking if you want to appoint a representative. What this means is that someone else is applying for your visit visa on your behalf. In my case, I am applying for my parents' visa and I will be their representative. So I will say yes. And now I have to fill the representative information, which means that I will fill my information here. But if your parents are applying for this visit visa by themselves, they don't need a representative and they can select no and go to the next step. But here I will select yes and fill the details. Who are you in relation to the person you are helping? So, family member. And then my last name. Gupta. First name, Arpit. Telephone type, I'll say cellular, Canada, US, and then I will provide my number. I can just type any random number. And then mailing address, Canada. Start typing your address. So, okay, so I'm just going to fill a random address 1234 ABC Drive. Not going to search, so I will just put the manual address 1234 ABC Drive. This is optional. This is optional. I can say Toronto, province, Ontario, postal code A1A, 1A1, email address. So I'll provide my email address. I can say representative@gmail.com, at gmail.com. So just a sample, email address. Okay. Once you are done with this information, click on save and continue. Now the next question is about the travel documents, which means your passport or your parents' passport, your father's passport here. So I'll say Gupta and first name of my father, let's say SK, and date of birth. I will select a random date of birth, let's say 70 January. And yeah, if you don't know the dates of your parents' birth, you have the option to select unknown for months and day, but not for the years. You have to select a year. Gender male, save and continue. Now type of your travel document, what documents you are traveling with. Passport, it's a regular kind. Select the country code. So it is India, which issued the passport. Nationality on your passport, India. What is your passport or travel document number? Just a random passport number, ABC 123456, ABC 123456. Date of issue, I'll select 1st January of 2020. So when your passport was issued, so you can find this information on your passport. And in most of the cases, the passports are valid 10 years. So I will select 2030. You can find all this information on your parents' passport. I'm just filling some random values, random numbers here just to help you guys. And now next questions are you lawful permanent resident of United States? If yes, then say yes. If no, then no. So I'll select no. Have you held a Canadian visitor visa in the past 10 years? No. Do you currently hold a valid US non-immigrant visa? No. Are you traveling to Canada by air? Oh, yes. And once you're done, you may want to cross-check all these details and click on save and continue. Now the questions are about citizenship. So, first India. So, city of born. So, I will say Delhi for my father. Are you a citizen of more than one country or territory? No. Which country or territory you are citizen of? Okay, in India, I am a citizen of this country since birth. So yeah, here is the date of birth for my father. Just check all this information is correct. Click on save and continue. National identity document. So for those who are applying from India, for them it will be their Aadhaar number. So I'll just provide a random Aadhaar number or national identity number here. Date of issue. So just select when your Aadhaar card was issued. I'll select 1st January 2020, and country who issued this national identity document is, of course, India. Just verify all the numbers are fine. Click on save and continue. Name used in the past. So if your father has used any different name in the past, you can say yes and provide their old name. And you don't have to give any proof for that. You just have to add their previous name, and you can select whether it was nickname or name before marriage or previous name, and give the details here. You really don't have to provide any document for that. But in my case, my father never used any different name. I will say no. Click on save and continue. Now you have to provide the contact information, which means the address. So select the country where he lives, India, street address. Okay, so you have to write an Indian address, 123 ABC Street. And I'll say Delhi. Postal code 112233. Is your mailing address same as your residential address? Yes. But if it is different, then just say no and provide the mailing address again. But I'll say yes. And now they're asking countries or territories of your residence. So you have to list your current country or territory of residence and then add all the previous countries and territories you have lived in the past 5 years. So for my father, it will be just India. I'll say India. What was your status? So he is a citizen in this country. So I will select his date of birth again. And this is where he lives. So I'll select this option and click on save. And if your father has residency from more than one country, or he has lived for more than 6 months in the past 5 years, then you can add the details here. But in my case, it's just one country for my father. I will fill that information and click on save and continue. And now they're asking about the biometrics. So do we already have your fingerprints and photo, which means the biometrics, and they are still valid? I'll say no, because they never applied for any Canadian visa before. But if it is yes for your case, then just select yes. So when I selected no, it says that you will be required to submit your biometric after you pay the biometric fees and submit your application. So we will be paying all the fees all together, and we'll talk about that later. Just click on save and continue. And now they're asking about the invitation. Is there anyone who is inviting you to Canada? So he's my father. Of course, I'm inviting them to visit. I'll fill my details here. Gupta Arpit, relationship, family member, mailing address. Okay, so I will be providing my address here. Mailing address is already selected as Canada. You cannot change that. And now I will fill my address here. So I'll just fill my address manually because I'm just writing a temporary address. Street number, let's say 123. And I'll say street name is ABC Drive. City, town, Toronto. Province, Ontario. And postal code 1A1A 1A1. So just a random address. Telephone type, cellular. Any random phone number. Now email address. So I will use a random email address here. Has someone else also invited you? So if there are multiple person who are inviting your parents, you can say yes and fill their details as well. But I don't think it's much required in most of the cases because he's my father, and I think I should be enough for inviting them. So I'll say no. I think I missed some information. Okay, here. So I have not selected the country for the phone. Uh, so I'll select Canada and the US. So again, just check all this information and verify that everything is fine. Click on save and continue. Finance. So now you need to tell that how much money your parents are bringing to Canada, or if not, then how they will be managing their finance in Canada. This is a little tricky because your parents may bring some money from India to Canada or from anywhere else to Canada along with them. But since you are inviting them, you can also take the responsibility of their finance while they are in Canada. So when my wife applied for her parents, she filled like a rough amount, 5,000, that her parents are bringing 5,000 Canadian dollar. But the next question is someone else giving you the money for your stay in Canada? And she selected yes. And now we will provide the details. This is how she filled in her parents' application. Our daughter and son-in-law will bear all the expenses during our stay in Canada, including our flight tickets. They have over X amount of dollars combined in their bank accounts. We are attaching their Canadian bank statements along with our Indian bank statements. So what we did is we provided our Canadian bank statements as well as the parents also provided their Indian bank statements. So there is no minimum or maximum amount which you need. This amount depends on the duration of your parents' visit. So let's say if your parents are coming for around 6 months, so you need to figure out that how much money you would need for your parents for 6 months. And then accordingly, you need to fill this information and provide the relevant documents. So here, if I will apply for my parents, I will say our son and daughter-in-law. And I will not change anything because, this looks fine for me. And click on save and continue. Now you need to provide the information about your parents' education. So I will fill the details for my parents' education, my father's education. Have you ever studied at a post-secondary school, university, college, or vocational school? You don't need to have completed a degree or diploma. So I'll say yes, and then click on this add button to add the details about the education or the degree. Name of the school or maybe the institute. I'll say University of Delhi, or let's say Delhi University. From and to, so when he started the education or the degree, I'll say 1990. If you know the month, uh, then you need to select the month. I think otherwise you can leave it blank as well. But I'll say July, and it's not ongoing, obviously. So it was a 3 years degree, 93, and it completed in April. So I'm just filling some random information. Bachelor degree, field of study, I'll say business, commerce, address. So here you have to provide the address of your university. So this is the address from where your father completed the university degree. So India and street address. So maybe you can say ABC Road, and just get the full address of your university, of your father's university, and fill the details here. Delhi. Click on save. And if your father has a master's degree too, you can add that information by clicking on this plus button. And now move on to the next question. It's about the military or police history. Did you serve in any military, militia, civil defense unit, and so on? No. And now give the details of your employment and activities in the past 10 years. So you have to provide your father's employment history. In my case, I'll just provide the details about my father's employment. So he's a businessman, and let's say he started doing that after the graduation. So I'll select January 1993 and it's ongoing work and activity. Okay, I see this detail here: business, finance, and administration occupation. But if anything else, any other option is suitable for you, fill that option. Now, the job title, there are several options. So, which one is more suitable for your father's occupation? Just select that option here. In my case, for my father, I will select retail salesperson. Company or employer. So just provide the name of your father's business or maybe your father's company or where he works. I'll say XYZ. That company, main duties, you can say owner or depends on your father's employment. And then the address of where your father is working. So I'll provide that address. So you need to provide not the home address, but the address where he is working. Let's say XYZ. Just provide the complete address with the, all the postal code and all. I can just try. Click on save and continue. And if your father had multiple employments in the last 10 years, just break them down and add the multiple details about your father's employment from this button. Click on save and continue. Travel history. So during the past 5 years, have you traveled to a country or territory other than the one where you are a citizen or where you live now? So in my case, my father has never traveled outside of India in the last 5 years. I will say no. But if your father has traveled outside of the country of the residence, you can say yes. If you are saying yes, you need to provide all the details about your father's travel history, that where he traveled and from which state to which state. So if you have to provide that information, just click on the add button. You have options like from and to. So when he traveled, which country, location, and what was his purpose of traveling. So in my case, it is a no. I will select no and click on save and continue. Travel history continued. Have you ever stayed in Canada beyond the validity of your status? If it is yes, in your case, yes. But in my case, he has never traveled outside of India, so I will say no. Have you ever been refused a visa? Okay. So this is the case if your father has applied to a visa before for any country and it was refused. So you have to provide that detail here and all the reasons why it was refused. So you can see if you're selecting yes, you are getting further options. Provide as many details as possible about when that happened and why. This will help with the processing your application. And if you have been issued a permit since that refusal, provide that document number with the date of issue and expiry date. So I hope this is helpful for you. But in my case, my father has never applied for any visa. So of course, no refusal. I'll say no and click on save and continue. Some questions about security. It will be no for all of the questions, but you can just, go through the questions and see if anything is yes in your case. I will click on save and continue. Some more questions about the same criminality and security, and I will answer no for all of them. Just read the questions and select yes or no according to your situation. Medical background questions. Have you had a medical exam performed by a IRCC authorized penal physician within the last 12 months? So I guess it is required for the super visa, but not for the regular visa. And my father never gave the medical exam to IRCC. I'll say no. But if you are saying yes, you need to fill some of the information here, like your IME, immigration medical examination record, or your UMI, unique medical identifier number. But this is also optional. But yeah, if your parent had any examination or medical exam before for the IRCC, provide that information. I will say no. Click on save and continue. Medical background questions again. In the last 2 years, were you diagnosed with tuberculosis? No. In the past 5 years, have you ever been in close contact with a person with tuberculosis? No. Click on save and continue. Currently receiving dialysis treatment? No. No, no, no. Just go through the questions. If it is yes, then provide the details and click on save and continue. Marital status. Okay, so here my father is married. Date of marriage. Just provide the date of marriage for your father. I'll say, okay, let's say 1994, January 1st. So select the date of your father's or your parents' marriage. Now you need to provide your mother's detail. I mean your father's spouse detail. Gupta. I'll write mother. Let's say mother. Okay. Your mother's date of birth. You provided 70. Let's say 73. If it is if you don't know your mother's complete date of birth, you have the option to select unknown. But if you know the dates, just provide the dates of your mother's date of birth. Country of birth, India. Present occupation. So there are several options. You can select. I'll select homemaker for my mother. Is their address same as yours? Which means if they are living together, yes. Will your spouse, common law partner, accompany you to Canada? Yes, because I'm applying for my mother and father both in this application, and this answer is yes. Save and continue. Children, do you have any biological adopted or stepchildren? Yes. And now here you have to provide all the list of your children. So let's say first I'll fill my name. Arpit. Date of birth, let's say 95. I'm just filling all random information. Relationship, son, India. Does this child have the same address? No, because I'm in Canada. So I will fill my detail here. Canada. And I will type my address. 123 ABC Drive. ABC Drive, Toronto, Ontario. Postal code A1A, 1A1. If the child is not in Canada, will they accompany you to Canada? So this is no, because I am already in Canada. I will not accompany them to Canada. Click on save. And now let's say I have one more, sibling, which means your parents have another child. Fill that information. I'll say like sister, my sister name, the date of birth. So date of birth, I can select 97, January 1st, daughter, and country, India. Does this child have same address as you? So it's It's up to you. If she's living, with your parents, then select yes. If no, then no. I'll say yes. And then if this child is not in Canada, will they accompany you to Canada? I'm not applying for my sister's visa here. I'll say no. She will not accompany my parents to Canada. Click on save. So you will see this kind of table. Once you fill all the children, if everything is fine, just click on save and continue. Now they are asking about the parents detail of your parents, which means you can say my grandparents detail here. If you don't have any information about your parents, you can select this. But if you do have information about them, you can add the details here. It's pretty straightforward. I'll just write my grandfather detail here, which means your father's father. Okay, so maybe you can say 1940, any random date of birth. If you don't know, then you can select unknown. And let's say, yeah, if he's not alive, date of death, you can provide the date of death. I'm just showing you the options, which you might see when you are applying for this visit visa application. Country of birth, India. So it's up to you. Like the situations are different for everyone. So I'm just showing you the options which you will see when you will apply for the visit visa. So here I filled the details of my father's father. And I will also fill the details about my, grandmother, which means my father's mother. Let's say 45. Or maybe you can say no. Sorry, unknown. So anything is fine. And for her, I will say not deceased, and country of birth, India, present occupation, let's say homemaker. Does this parent have the same address as you? Yes. And will this parent come to Canada with you? No. So you will see these kind of options if you are not, selecting this. Just click on save. And once you're done with the parents detail of your parents, click on save and continue. Now the language. So my father native language is Hindi. Can you communicate in English and or French? No, I think English is fine. What language do you want us to use to contact you? English, please. But if your father is comfortable with French, you can select the different options. Click on save and continue. Email address. So my father's email address. This is the email address where they will receive the, the correspondence, even if they have the representative. So make sure that you provide the email address which is working. father@gmail.com. Click on save and continue. Telephone number. So your father has to provide their telephone number here. Cellular. Of course, he's not in Canada, so it will be other. And I'll provide Indian number. Click on save. Save and continue. So you're done with your father's information here. And this is the summary page. So you can see what you have filled in this application. And if you feel that something is missing and you have not provided the right information, you can just click on edit button, go to that question again and click on save and continue and come back to the last step. You can also do the expand all to, see all the options, all the details, all the questions on the same page. You can just go through it one by one and make sure that you have filled all the right information. And if everything looks fine, just click on save and continue. But I will also suggest you to save this page just for your reference. It comes perfectly in the landscape mode, just to make sure that, what information you have filled in your application, just for your reference. So it's better to save this as a PDF file separately. So once you have saved this document, click on save and continue. And now here on this page, you will see that what documents you need to upload for this application. So I see there are some supporting documents. So your national identity document, which is your Aadhaar card, your passport, your proof of funds, use of representative form, because we selected yes for the use of representative, the marriage certificate, and then there are some optional documents like consent, personal information, employment letter, additional documents. I can expand all if you just want to go through these documents, but I will make a separate video where I will talk about all these documents which you need for your parents' visit visa application. And now what I will do is I will save. I have already saved this information and I will go back to the group table. So you can see that my father's information has already populated here. And now I will do the same for my mother's information. So now what I will do is I will click on this continue button and fill all the details about my mother. So again, I will see the same set of questions which I have seen for my father's application. I'm filling this application on my mother's behalf. I want to apply for a visitor visa or super visa, and then I will choose this option because I am their non-dependent child who is a Canadian citizen or the permanent resident. And now tell us more about what you will do in Canada, including the dates. So I will suggest that do the same, whatever the information you have given for your father, just copy paste the same thing here as well. Our son and daughter-in-law are PR in Canada. We want to visit them and spend some quality time. So we are planning for a tourist visa to Canada. Our planned arrival in Canada is on 1st June 2024 and we intend to stay at their residence in Toronto. During our visit, we plan to explore various nearby tourist attractions in Canada. Our return journey is scheduled for 30th September 2024. And the next questions are when you will enter and when you will leave Canada. So I'll say June 1st, 2024, they will enter Canada, and September 30th, they will leave. So I'm repeating again that you need to provide your fixed dates, that when you will enter Canada or when you will leave Canada. Don't be like 3 weeks or 6 months. Just provide the exact dates. And UCI, if you know UCI, then fill that. But my mother never had any IRCC application before, so I will leave it blank. Click on save and continue. Now it tells about the documents you need for this application, which means your mother need for this application. So basically a passport and a letter of invitation from you. And now same set of information we need to provide for mother as well. We have already did for father. Now we will give the same information for your mother. So click on continue to application. Representative. So you see some of the options are pre-selected because it's a group application, but still if you want to change something, you can do that. So we'll just check whether everything is right or not. Are you applying on behalf of someone else? Yes. Who are you in relation to the person you are helping? Family member. And then I will provide my information here, my name, my phone number, my mailing address. Then the email address, just go through this information once, and if everything is fine, just click on save and continue. And now travel information. So here you need to provide the information about your mother. So I'll write my mother's name here, Gupta Geeta, and date of birth. So here you will provide the date of birth of your mother. I'll just write a sample date of birth. Then gender female, save and continue. And now the travel document of the applicant. So here you need to provide the passport details of your mother. So what documents are you traveling with? It will be passport, and what kind of passport? It's a regular passport. So in most of the cases, it will be the regular passport. Select the country code that matches the one on your passport. India. What's the nationality on your passport? India. What's your passport or travel document number? So I'll just provide a random passport number. Confirm. I need to just write the same. So this is just a random passport number. I'm providing here date of issue. I'll say January 1st, 2020. And date of expiry, it's valid for almost 10 years. I'll select 2030, January 1st. And then few extra questions. Are you lawful permanent resident of US? No. Held any Canadian visa before in the past 10 years? No. Do you currently hold a valid US non-immigrant visa? No. Are you traveling by air to Canada? Yes. Save and continue. Citizenship. So country where you were born. So my mother was born in India. City, I'll say Delhi. City of born, Delhi. Are you citizen of more than one country? No. Which country or territory are you citizen of? India. And I am citizen of this country since birth. Save and continue. If anything changes, if anything is different for you guys, select that option and fill the information accordingly. Save and continue. Do you have a valid national identity document? So for Indians, it's the Aadhaar card. I'll write a random Aadhaar card number 35236 523. Date of issue, I'll say, let's say January 1st, 2021. And select the country who issued this document. So it's India. It's all random information. So you need to provide your national identity document information here. Save and continue. Have you used any other name in the past? So in some cases, your mother might have a different name before marriage. So you have that option to select here. Let's say I will say name before marriage or maiden name. I'll say the. It was same for my mother. I'm just showing you an example that you can write the previous name and click on save. But you don't need to provide any documentation or any proof for your previous name. So that's a good thing. Click on save and continue. Countries or territories of residence. So everywhere it will be India. Street address. It will be the same address which you selected for your father. So I'll just write 123 ABC Street. Delhi, postal code 112233. Is your mailing address same as your residential address? Yes. List your current country or territory of residence, then add all other country or territories where you have lived in the past 5 years for more than 6 months. My mother has never been outside of India in last 5 years, so I will just provide the information for India. What's your status? Citizen. And from when? It will be since birth. So I think I selected 73. And this is where I currently live. Save and continue. Do we already have your fingerprints and photos, which means the biometrics? No, my mother never gave any biometrics to IRCC. Save and continue. Who is inviting you? So I'm the one who is inviting them to Canada. I'll fill my information again. Relationship to you, family member, billing address is Canada, and I'll just write my address 123 ABC Drive, Toronto, Ontario, A1A1A1. Then I'll provide the phone number. Just a simple, random phone number. I'll provide my email address. Has someone else also invited you? I'll say no because I'm the one who is inviting them. Finance. So you can fill the same information which you have filled for your father. So how much money she's bringing? 5,000. And is someone else giving you the money for your stay in Canada? Yes. And then here you will provide the explanation. So my mother will provide the same information that our son and daughter-in-law will bear all the expenses during our stay in Canada, including our flight tickets. They have over X amount of dollars combined in their bank accounts. We are attaching their Canadian bank statements along with our Indian bank statements. Click on Save and Continue. Now we are on the education page. So here you need to provide the education history of your mother. Have you ever studied at a post-secondary school, which means university, college, or vocational school? I'll say yes and fill that information. Here you need to provide the institute name. And then select the year. I'll just write, let's say 93 from July and 96 April. So just a random information I'm providing here. Level of study, I'll say bachelor degree. And then field of study, I'll say business and commerce. But if there is anything else which is applicable for you, in your case, for your mother, so you can select that option here. And now you need to provide the address for your university, India, and just provide the address, ABC University Road, double one double five double two. Just you need to provide a full address for your university and Delhi. So I'm just filling all this random information to show you guys what options you will see there. And if you have more degrees to add, you can do the same by clicking on this button. And now I'll move on to the next questions. Military experience, no. And here now you need to give your mother's employment history. So basically my mother is a housewife. So I will click here. I'll select the from and to. I'll say 1994, January. That's when my father and mother got married according to this application. And it's an ongoing, and she's a homemaker. Address, it will be the same address where your father lives. India. Street address 123 ABC Street. Delhi. Just you need to provide, like complete address with the postal code and all. Click on Save and Continue. Save and Continue. Travel history during the past 5 years. Have you traveled to a country or territory other than the one where you are a citizen or where you live now? No, my mother has never traveled outside of India before, so I'll say no. But if it is yes in your case, just you need to, provide that information accordingly. I'll just say no and click on Save and Continue. Travel history again, it will be no for my mother. But if it is yes in your case, you need to say yes and provide the valid reasons. Now some questions about criminality and security, and it will be no for all of them. You can just go through the question and select the one which is applicable in your case. Again, no and no. Save and continue. Medical background questions. So my mother never took the medical exam from IRCC. And now again, some questions related to medical history. I'll say no, no. So just go through the questions and select the one which is more appropriate in your situation. Again, some questions regarding the medical background, and for all of them, it's no for my mother. And now here you need to provide some of the family information about your mother, like the marital status. So married. Here you will select the date of marriage, 1994, January 1st, name of spouse for your mother, which means your father's name, your father's date of birth, country or territory of birth, India, present occupation. I'll say business. Is the address the same as yours? Yes. Will your spouse, common law partner, accompany you to Canada? Yes, because they both are coming to Canada together. Save and continue. And now you need to provide the information about your mother's children. Do you have any biological, adopted, or stepchildren? Yes. Basically, it will be the same information which you give in your father's application. So first, I will provide my information here. Relationship, son, country of birth, India. Does this child have the same address? No, because I'm in Canada, and here I will provide my Canadian address. One, two, three, ABC, Drive. City, Toronto, Province, Ontario, A1A, 1A1, postal code. If this child is not in Canada, will they accompany you? No, because I'm already in Canada. Save. And again, if you have any sibling, just add that information. So here I will just enter the information about my sister. Date of birth, let's say 97, January. Relationship, daughter. Country of birth, India. Does this child have the same address? Yes, but if no, then you can provide the present address of your mother's daughter, which means your sister. If this child is not in Canada, will they accompany you? No, she's not coming in this application. Click on save. Save and continue. And now you need to provide the information about your parents. So if you don't know who are their parents, you have the option to select. But if you do know, then you can just add that information. So here I will provide the information of my mother's father. Date of birth, let's say any random date, 1930. And just suppose that we don't know the date or the month. This parent is deceased. And let's say 2000. And yeah, for the date of death, you cannot select any unknown day or month. You need to provide the exact full date. Country of birth, India. Save. Similarly, I will provide the information about my mother's mother. But don't worry, if you don't know any of these information, you already had the option to select that I don't know who my parents are. Now, date of birth, say 35. Unknown, unknown. Now, let's say 2001, January. Country of birth. Once you're done, click on save and continue. Language of the applicant. So English is fine for my mother. But if you think that you need to select French, both or neither, you can do that. And the native language, I forgot to select Hindi. Click on save and continue. Email address. So you need to provide mother's email address. Remember to provide a valid email address because you might receive an update from IRCC, even though you have appointed a representative. Save and continue. Telephone number, you need to provide your mother's telephone number here. So I will provide her Indian number. So just a random phone number. Save and continue. So here is the summary of the information which you filled for your mother. You can expand all and just verify the information once again, whatever you have filled. And if you feel that you need to change something, you can click on the edit button of that section, go there and change the information and come back to this page. Once you are sure that everything looks fine, it's better to take the screenshot, as I have mentioned in the father's application as well. It's better to have it in, for your reference. So just save it as a PDF in your system. So once you have saved this file and everything looks okay, click on save and continue. Now you're on the page where you need to upload the documents. So you have filled all the information about your father and mother, and now you need to upload the documents for your father and mother. I will make a separate video on how to prepare all these documents and how to gather all the required proofs for your parents' tourist visa. So for now, you have filled and saved the information for your mother and father both in this TRV application. Now the only step which is pending is to upload the documents. And remember that you need to upload the documents separately for your father and mother. Some of the documents might be common, but you need to upload them separately. But for now, I will just click on return to Crypt table. So you see that now you have filled the information about your father and mother both. You just need to upload the documents. And once that is done, you will click on I confirm and click on save and continue. But for now, you cannot do that because the document section is pending. So in the next part, I will show you how exactly you can do that and how can you prepare all these required documents. So stay tuned, share this video with your friends, your partner, or with your parents. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. See you in the next video. Thank you.